There are evenings when your body feels exhausted, yet your mind refuses to slow down. You keep scrolling through your phone long after midnight, moving from one video to another without even caring what you are watching anymore. At some point, it stops being entertainment and quietly becomes avoidance, because the moment the screen goes dark, you are left alone with your own thoughts again. And somewhere inside that silence, the same feeling keeps returning. I do not know how much longer I can keep living like this. Not because you want life to end, not because you are weak. You are simply exhausted by the experience of constantly existing. What makes this feeling difficult to explain is that from the outside, your life may still look completely normal. You still show up for work or school, you still reply to messages eventually, you still smile during conversations and tell people you are fine when they ask. But internally, your nervous system feels stretched beyond its limit in a way sleep no longer seems able to fix. Psychologists sometimes describe this state as existential fatigue, a deeper form of emotional exhaustion that develops when the mind stays in survival mode for too long, without real recovery. It's not ordinary stress or temporary burnout. It's what happens when your brain remains emotionally overloaded for so long that even basic functioning starts feeling heavy. Imagine your mind like a device running too many applications at once. One part of you is worrying about money. Another is replaying painful memories from years ago. Another is comparing your life to people online. Another is carrying emotional responsibilities nobody realizes are draining you. And another part is constantly trying to stay emotionally available for everyone around you. Even when you appear calm on the outside, your brain is still processing all of this internally, quietly consuming energy in the background. That is why some people wake up exhausted before the day has even begun. Because exhaustion is not always physical. Sometimes the mind itself becomes overcrowded. Modern life quietly encourages this condition. Endless notifications, constant comparison, emotional pressure, financial stress, and the expectation to stay productive through all of it slowly train the nervous system to remain permanently alert. Eventually, the brain adapts the only way it knows how. It starts conserving energy. And once that happens, things that used to feel enjoyable begin feeling emotionally distant instead. Music no longer feels the same. Movies become background noise. Conversations begin to feel draining. Even hobbies can start feeling like obligations rather than escape. Psychologists call this anhedonia, the reduced ability to experience pleasure. One of the most painful parts of it is realizing you miss the version of yourself that once felt naturally alive. But overwhelmed nervous systems stop prioritizing joy. They start prioritizing survival. That is why emotionally exhausted people often fall into repetitive habits that look lazy from the outside, rewatching the same shows repeatedly, scrolling endlessly through social media, ignoring messages for days, lying in bed unable to move while mentally criticizing themselves for wasting time. People often misunderstand these behaviors, but psychology suggests something different. An overwhelmed brain craves familiarity because familiarity feels safe. The reason comfort shows help is because your mind already knows what will happen next. There's no emotional unpredictability and no extra effort required. The reason endless scrolling becomes addictive is because distraction temporarily interrupts emotional exhaustion, even if only for a few moments. Eventually, this exhaustion starts affecting relationships too. A simple message saying, "Are you okay?" can suddenly feel emotionally overwhelming instead of comforting. Not because you don't care about the person, but because your brain immediately starts calculating the emotional energy required to respond. You have to explain yourself, pretend you have energy, pretend you understand what is wrong, and pretend you are still emotionally connected to your own life. So you delay replying. Then you delay it again, until silence starts feeling easier than interaction. Not because you stopped loving people, but because your nervous system no longer has the energy to keep performing emotional normalcy all the time.
And strangely, many emotionally exhausted people become very skilled at hiding all of this. They continue functioning, continue smiling, continue saying they are okay. But what people never see is the emotional collapse that happens privately afterward. The silence after getting home, the mental shutdown, the exhaustion of existing in a world that never seems to stop demanding things from you. Carl Jung once described the persona as the social mask people wear to function in society. But eventually, maintaining that mask becomes exhausting too. After enough time, one frightening question quietly begins repeating inside the mind. How long can I keep pretending I am okay? And this is what many emotionally exhausted people never fully realize. Your nervous system may not be failing you. It may be adapting to a life that has required survival for too long without enough rest, safety, or emotional recovery. What feels like weakness is often a brain that has spent years trying to protect you from overwhelm the only way it knows how. The dangerous part is exhaustion changes perception. A tired nervous system convinces people that the way they feel right now is permanent. It's not. Human beings were never designed for endless output without recovery. Even nature understands this. Trees lose leaves, animals hibernate, injured bodies require rest before healing. But many people have been conditioned to see rest as laziness, so they continue forcing themselves forward long after their nervous system has already entered survival mode. And this is often where healing begins. Not with motivation, not with becoming more productive, but with reducing pressure. Psychologists who study nervous system regulation explain recovery begins when the brain starts feeling safe again. That means healing is not always about transforming yourself overnight. Sometimes it begins with smaller acts of gentleness instead. Sleeping earlier, reducing overstimulation, taking quiet walks without your phone, eating properly even when you're unmotivated, allowing yourself to respond to messages later without guilt, learning that your worth is not measured by how constantly productive you can remain. Because emotionally exhausted people don't always need harsher discipline. Sometimes they need permission to stop attacking themselves for being tired. And if existing has felt unusually heavy lately, this matters more than you realize. You are not broken. You are a human nervous system carrying more emotional weight than most people can see from the outside. And maybe your job right now is not becoming the best version of yourself immediately. Maybe your job right now is simply surviving gently until your mind remembers what safety feels like again. Winter doesn't force trees to bloom. It only asks them to survive until the season changes. Human beings are not so different. So, if this resonated with you, leave a comment below, even if it's just an emoji. Sometimes people need to be reminded they're not the only ones quietly feeling this exhausted. And if you want to share what's been weighing on your mind lately, I'll be reading through the comments with you. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more videos exploring psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns behind the way we think and feel.